thank you so much for tuning in to today's No Damn's Given podcast. And we are back after about 10-month hiatus.
Wonder why.
So I don't know if it's been, it seems like it's been 3 years since we did this last. So obviously the pandemic, there were many things that were much more important than doing a podcast, and priorities sort of took over. For a while, the brewery shut down, and as everybody knows, we did hand sanitizer completely for about 3 months. During that time, we had some good accomplishments. We had the first Georgia hemp crop come off, and that's been very successful. We had a lot of successful farmers. And as you can see, or actually I don't know if you can see, but we'll probably put some pictures of it up at the end. We got the first Georgia hemp products that we made. And so so not only are we doing CBD tinctures, but we have a pain cream, we've got facial creams, we've got face creams. Of course, we still have plenty of hand sanitizer left if anybody needs it. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary on December 7th, which I'm very proud of. There's not a lot of organizations go down before 3 years. We've made it to the 3-year mark, and really just want to thank everybody who has hung in there this year. I know it's been a tough year for not only our group, our employees, our families, your family. Hang in there. This, as my grandmother would say, this too shall pass. Today we got King Randall with us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
And we got Mr. Eric Belusko.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks for having me back after a 10-month hiatus.
So, Eric, you heard King speak, so why don't you introduce him?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I had no idea about you until about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to our Rotary group, and you talked to us, and I was like, we had our, right after that, we had our first podcast meeting. Who are we gonna fill these slots with? What interesting people around town can we talk to? And I was like, dude, I got one right now because I just heard you talk the day before. So, and I know that you had some dealings with Austin, who's our producer and director, and I guess technician in charge today. Hey, man.
Yep. You gave
He's
me a
over
call.
there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll break the wall.
Yeah, but so anyway, he knew who you were too, and I was like, well, that's awesome, because I was unable to stick around long enough that day to get your card. You were, I had to get back and see patients after a certain point in time, but I don't want to steal any. Why don't you just give us just a brief kind of bio of who you are, and then kind of segue into what this undertaking is with the X Boys.
Right. So I'm King Randall. I'm 21 years old. I'm the founder of the X for Boys here in Albany, Georgia. We work with young men ages 11 to 17. We're teaching skilled trades such as how to fix on cars, how to work on houses, and how to be a man. Our motto is "Let us make man," and we just adopted a new slogan that says "Make men great again." There is this new stigma now against the masculine male. And how he is, in the American society now. So my job, in my opinion, is for me to help teach our young men who are without fathers and without father figures in their neighborhoods or in their schools or things like that, and help them see that they can be a man. It's okay to be a man, and let's not let anyone tell us that it's toxic for us to want to take care of our women and children, want to protect our families, want to protect, our communities. We can get back to those days where our family was a unit and men were in the homes.
Cool.
Yeah.
What so the X Boys, how did you come up with that symbol? Because I love this symbol.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think and so we can expand on it on a bunch of different levels. But how did you come up with it?
Well, I came up with the X for boys. X means unknown. And so for a lot of our boys, when I did come up with the words "Let us make man," of course it's in the scripture. I thought about it. Well, boys don't know, how it is to be a man. So I just it just popped in my head one day. It was like the X for Boys, and I had been looking online trying to find a logo or whatever, and I happened to find this, and we're trademarking it now so nobody can use it. But but yeah, this is our new, it's our logo. Yeah, the X for Boys, and people are drawn to it. People are just like, what does that mean, or who are you guys? It's very eye catching, so a lot of people love the logo. But that's the X for Boys. It just simply means unknown.
Yeah, because that transition is unknown between boyhood and
manhood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. In fact, I don't know that I fully crossed that barrier yet.
Yes, sir.
I'm still working on a lot of things.
Well, two things that come to mind. There's a whole psychology literature built on male transition versus female transition, and one of it is like women are sort of forced to grow up, and because of the reproductive period, literally period, that they have to make a decision about their life before about the age of really in their 20s. If they get to their 30s, then having a baby becomes much more difficult. So they're forced to make decisions about what they're going to do earlier in life. Whereas guys, we're 35, we can go, we can start a family, we can go do stuff. Yep. And which brings me to the other thought was we just got finished. Well, number one of your quotes was from Genesis, and so are we finished with Genesis?
We've been working on Genesis for a year.
Over a year.
I mean, it's a lot to dig into. So.
But, there's a lot of great figures in the Bible that were just failure to launch. And Abraham was one of them. He's sitting he's like 60 years old, sitting in his mom's basement. And God says, hey, buddy, why don't you get out your mom's basement and get out in the world and do something?
Yep.
And so that that call to adventure and that statement that it's okay to go out. Well, not only is it okay, but pretty much as a purpose, it's demanded to go out and find your way in the world and go out and basically build a life.
Absolutely.
What about your past made you take on this responsibility? Because it's a huge what you've decided to do. It's number one, it's how you change your life, it's how you change your community's life, it's how you change the world. And so what about you? I'm fascinated. What about your upbringing?
He came to this decision like when I was still just doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
There's no
he has a baby.
Yeah, he's 21.
So
you're 21.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And I couldn't put two cognizant thoughts together at 21. I don't think. But my point is, you've done a ton of stuff in a very short period of time, and kind of tell us about that because it's really
absolutely. Well, I'll start by I'm not sure if I shared this story at Rotary that day, but I've known my purpose ever since I was a child. And a philosopher that I know he says that a child will tell you or show you what their purpose is by the time they turn 7 years old, and it's up to the parent or somebody in that area to help them cultivate that purpose. So I was lucky enough to have my grandmother. She's a minister, and she always helped me with this. So when I was younger, I was about 2 years old, I think 2 or 3. I'm not sure which one it was, but we were riding down the road one day, and I tell people all the time that young people, when you're like maybe 2 or 3 years old, you don't remember anything unless it was really significant. So the only two things that I remember is when my aunt died and she was killed in Detroit, and we had to drive to Detroit all the way from Albany. So I remember that ride vividly. I remember all the snow and all of that stuff. I remember that vividly. And the second thing that I remember is me and my grandmother, we were driving on Madison Street. I remember my car seat color, it was gray. I remember she had just picked me up from daycare that day, and I was riding in the car with her. We got to a stop sign on Madison. I remember exactly where we stopped at. And I asked her, did she know how it was to have butterflies in her stomach, like something was about to happen? Now, I was always very smart. I could say complete sentences, everything. So, and that's how Baby King is now. And so I asked her, did she know how it was to have butterflies in her stomach, like something was about to happen? And she was like, yeah. And I told her I was here to finish what Dr. King started. I remember this vividly. I don't remember anything after that conversation. But she never forgot. So ever since, growing up, she'd always say, growing up 4, 5, 6 years old, don't forget you're here to finish what Dr. King started. This is what you told me. I didn't tell you this. God did. Of course, I was like, yeah. But then when I got to middle school and all that stuff, getting the rebellious teenage age. Grandma, leave me alone. I was a kid. We probably watched a Dr. King video or something at school or whatever, so it was a lot, and my grandmother and I, we argued about this for a long time, and I went to go back and live with her my 11th and 12th grade year because my mom had just got married and she moved to Atlanta, but I was with my wife at the time, and I didn't want to leave her. And plus I was doing culinary school at Albany Tech during dual enrollment, so I didn't want to leave there. But I started dual enrollment classes, and my grandmother was like, "I don't care what you're doing. Don't forget you're here to finish what Dr. King started." I'm just like, "Grandma, what is you talking?" I'm just like, "Leave me alone." I was a kid, So we argued at one point so much that she was about to put me out because we argued so hard about this one thing. We argued about it. I remember the day she called my mom. My mom was crying, like, "Please, just y'all stop arguing." It was horrible. But she's like, she never let me forget. So I graduated high school. I went to the Marines. I got boot camp letters from my grandmother saying the same thing. Don't forget what you're here to do. I don't care what you call yourself going to do. Don't forget you're here to finish what Dr. King started. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, she would not get over this. So I came back home from combat training. I came back home. My wife was there, and I decided to start doing some research on Dr. King. So I was like, well, let me see what exactly was he supposed to be starting, or what didn't he finish? So I started doing a lot of research. I got into a lot of YouTube videos. I read all his books. I've gotten all newspaper articles, you name it. I just been trying to figure out what was he about to do. I don't get it. Like I'm lost. So I kept researching. So I finally went to the Dr. King National Historic Site in Atlanta. I went there, and while I was there, I walked around. I was like, maybe I'll find an answer here. So I kept walking around, and I'm just like, I went to his gravesite, and I'm just like, something got to give. I'm like, I don't get it. Why was I told that? But I was like, something's going to hit me, and I'm going to understand. So I went back in the museum after like 3 times, and I went in there to the room where the carriage was that held his casket and they was carrying it through the city. The carriage is still there. And so in this room, they have newspaper articles all over the entire room from the headlines from after he was killed. And one stuck out to me that changed my life. I intend to order it actually and put it on my wall. But it was on my wife's birthday of 1968 from the Pittsburgh Courier, and it says, "Will a new king emerge?" And if you look at all of my social media handles, they all say "New Emerging King." And of course, my name is King. I was born in the city that Dr. King claimed that he failed in, and I believe I have a purpose here.
That's what I was going to ask you. So letters from prison. He wrote that he felt that Albany was one of his failures.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And another, he's a brilliant. I've read that book, and I've read a book on him, or memoirs. Mm-hmm. He also wrote quite a bit about academic theology, which was really, really cool. Like one talking about one paper that it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just really like it. He was talking about how the church has to grasp its ancient shamanic traditions, and the whole paper is about like how the it's not about that, but it has to do with how the Bible developed from some of the ancient religions and took on some of those aspects from it. He's just a brilliant man.
Very
and so
intelligent.
that's so you couldn't have picked a better mentor, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And so after discovering that, I'm just like, I started coming around back to Albany, and I started speaking at different events. And while I was speaking, I kept offering work for us to do, in regards to our community. And I was noticing that nobody wanted to act on anything. Everybody wanted to come hear me talk. They wanted to have me come speak here and there, but I didn't. I was just like, I want to do something. Like, we should do something. Like, we keep having these come to Jesus meetings every time somebody get killed, but nobody's wanting to do any work. Yeah. We have 1,000 meetings. We don't need any more meetings every time somebody's killed. I'm just like, every time somebody killed, we need to come together and we need unity. We need to do. I'm like, where were you when this child was crying out for help? So I started thinking, I was like, one thing that I believe was one of his biggest mistakes was he didn't train any replacements. Imagine if he rode around with 12, 13 kids, not even kids, but maybe teenagers or whatever, that he was constantly teaching and mentoring all the time. You can kill him, but you can't really kill the dream, because he's taught 12 to 13 other kids. You got to drop a bomb on their children, for them not to know what's going on, and how, for him to finish what began. So I started teaching children I did a field trip. This is when the X for Boys began. I did a field trip to Atlanta in January of 2019, right before Baby King was born. And I took 20 young men to Atlanta, and to hear these young men from different areas around the city and wanting to learn and wanting to know more and wanting to get out the house and wanting to figure out how they could do more, you know, and how to learn different things. I was like, these children actually don't want to be in their condition, you know. So after that, I did a oil change workshop. I taught 20 young men how to change oil, and for them to be like so active and they were so excited. I did little certificates for them. We did it at my uncle's house, and they had little certificates, and their parents were calling like he want to put it on the wall and stuff. Like they were so proud to have gotten something, you know, because they never got anything. And a lot of the children that I have now, we've been, you know, all across the country now with the children who've never been on field trips, never been out of town. I have children that have never been out of the city of Albany, you know, except for with me, you know. So these are experiences that they have, you know, in regards to where we are in our city. So I started working with the children, and to see them want to get out of their conditions is just amazing to me. I have children that call me every day from the project areas and everything. They're like, Mr. King, do you have something for us to do today? Can we come by your house? You got anything you can teach us? Anything. I started having the kids come live with me. I started fostering them. My wife cooks for them and stuff like that. And it's just beautiful watching the children want to know more, and so watching them change their lives, and even discovering that reading is one of our biggest issues, you know, amongst our children. They can't read, and I was asking, you know, Ken Dyer's a good friend of mine, and I don't blame him for anything because he just got there. I'm just like, how are our children? You know, we have this high graduation rate, but then I'm going with these children that are 15, 16, and 17 and can't read cat dog, and I'm just like, that's absolutely ridiculous. How are you passing them through school and they cannot read? So that's another issue that I have too, but I started a book club, and now our organization has an 86% reading comprehension rate. Our children are learning how to read, and that's big for me. Every child that's come to me from jail has never been back. That's another thing that I love to say, because they're actually changing their lives. And this little program that I've been running out of my house for 2 years is making change. So that's a big thing for me, and I want to make sure that we understand that the children do not want to be in their conditions, especially the children who've done a lot. You know, I have children that have sold drugs, that have been in that lifestyle, you know, bagging up drugs, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. They've been in that lifestyle. You know, for them to want to change their lives simply because somebody showed them something different, I'm there possible. And that's what I try to be for them. I have my own house, I have land and things like that. So for me being 21 and they're only 17 and 16, if he can do it, I can do it. And so I'm trying to be there possible and give them these experiences so that way they can go and change their life because it's happening.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, you know, I think that's a huge thing. It's just like Abraham, you're giving them an opportunity or an idea that they can get out of what, I mean, just you being there. Just them seeing what you're doing, and like you said, the opportunity for them to be able and be another you, or be another King, or be another, you know, whether it be a King Randall or a Dr. King or any of those. I mean, it's a call to adventure to get out of what they're doing and out into something else. I love it.
Absolutely. You spoke about the fact that, like, basically they see, you know, you expose them to a bunch of things that they've not seen before.
Absolutely.
And they see you involved, and I'm sure it speaks volumes to them to say, you know what, I can do A, B, C, and D too.
Absolutely.
And so give me, well, the one thing, what are numbers as far as how many? So I've seen pictures on social media about, you know, you get that one where you're all standing in the street, and there's probably, I don't know,
It's
there's
10
probably
boys.
like 10,
it's 10 boys in that picture.
Yep. What are your numbers as far as currently? I mean, how many kids are you working with currently?
Right. I have just about 60 children altogether in the program. So all of them, you know, of course, come in and out depending on what they have to do, if they have school or something like that. So all of the events that we have a big group chat that I send texts, and the parents, you know, some of them can come this time, some can't, you know. So of course you don't see all of them in every picture. But of course every little event, I have about 60 children, but usually I have about 20 to 30 that come to each little workshop and things like that. Right. So.
And so he also. Yeah, I know a little bit. I've heard you speak before. You're actually going ahead and kids were living in your house and like.
I just sent them home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like. So, I mean, to be. I mean, you're living this like 24/7.
24/7. This is me every day.
Yeah,
Every day working with the children. I just sent them home for the holidays. They begged to stay with me for Christmas. I'm just like, no, you're gonna go home for Christmas. Spend time with your mom. So that's the biggest thing for me. But speaking of innate learning, that's the biggest part of my program, in my opinion. A lot of people look from the outside, and some people try to discredit it. It's just like, oh, just because you're teaching them how to fix on the car doesn't mean they're changing their lives. I'm just like, you don't understand the innate learning that's going on while they're just around. I'm like, a lot of boys, they learn so much just from being around men. And I was telling them, like, growing up, a lot of them didn't have family, but I did. So I was able to go see my uncles cook on the grill and learn how to chop wood and all this stuff without them directly teaching me a class. It's just I learned just by watching them for a few years, in my life, or how I learned how to fry chicken from my grandma, just going to get something to drink out of there, and I seen her in there, putting flour on the chicken and seasoning it or whatever. It's just innate stuff that you learn, growing up. So I'm like, they have to be around. I'm like, I have them around so much because they learn a lot innately. Plus, a lot of them try to mimic me. They try to be like me. And so I watch them a lot, especially my younger brother. I watch them a lot to see where I may be messing up at that I feel like I need to fix. Because I'm just like, I know I do that. Let me stop doing that because they're starting to do it now.
Yeah.
So those are things I have to check, within myself. But that's where we are.
Cool.
That's where we are.
Go ahead. Now, talk to us a little bit about, like, so I know you've got a bunch of projects going on and things like that. Talk to us, a little bit about how the funding has taken, how the funding occurred, and talk to us a little bit about, once again, I know a little bit about, I've heard you speak before. Talk to us about how Christianity has influenced the fact that what you throw out there, you get back. And talk to us a little bit about the GoFundMe's and the other things that are helping drive your vision.
Right. Well, one of our biggest phrases is Big Boy Faith. We have a T-shirt that says #BigBoyFaith. I came up with that one day because I was actually doing a video, and I actually talked to the boys about this a lot. We call it Big Boy Faith because I teach them we just have to believe. So this will go into how we got started with fundraising and stuff like that for a school. Beginning of this year, I had started saying, people were like, well, what's next, with the boys? I'm just like, well, I want to open a school for our young men, a boarding school. I'd like for them to be able to live at the school, learn every day, learn how to be a man and be all boys. So beginning of this year, I said that, and this summer, of course, COVID happened, so a lot of my plans got canceled for the things I had planned for this year. But when the summertime came around, I had a lot of parents call still and were like, can you do something, for the boys? I'm just like, okay, if I'm going to do something, they got to come stay at my house because I have to monitor, them, what they're doing, making sure they're bathing, washing their hands, all of that stuff. So I was like, well, I can take about 6 children. So I turned my living room into a bedroom. I had 3 bunk beds in there. I started with 6 young men coming to stay in my house for the summertime. Mind you, some of these parents I never met. I didn't even know. One of them, they called and were just like, I've been watching you for the longest time. I trust you. Just can you get my son? I'm just
Please
like,
help.
Sure, yeah, I'll get him. And I talked to my wife about it. She was like, we can do it. I was like, okay. So we did that for the summertime, and I always told my wife for a while, I think things will, jump off for us. Things will happen for what we have going on. I had lost my job. I wasn't working anywhere, and my wife was working, and I was at home taking care of the baby. And me, I'm a man's man, and that's really emasculating for me. So it was for a while, but I didn't want to get a job because I'm just like, I believe what we're doing with our children is going to work. It took about 1.5 years, but it started working. And so during this past summer camp, 2020, I started posting what we're doing on Twitter. And mind you, I hadn't been on Twitter that long. And so I started posting what we're doing on Twitter, and one particular post with me teaching the boys how to do sheetrock, it went viral. And so people, started reaching out to us and things like that. And, people were like, can you make a GoFundMe? And I was like, yeah, I'll make a GoFundMe, sure. And we had raised like $10,000 like in 3 days. People started donating out the wazoo, and I was telling the boys, I was like, see what I told you? And the crazy thing is, right before that, I was riding down the road one day, and we saw a building And of course, it looked like it was out of our price range because we had $0, of course, at the moment. So, but I called anyway. I was like, no, we're still gonna call, because we have big boy faith. So we're gonna believe in, we're gonna believe in ourselves as long as we keep, doing work and keep giving back, to our community. Something will happen for us. So. I called, and one of the family members of the building, the owners, they passed away. One of the granddad, and so they dropped the price down like significantly. And I was like, I think we can make that happen eventually. I was like, we'll see what happens. And then people started donating, and then President Trump invited us to the White House, and so we went to the White House, and then we did a video there that went viral on Instagram, and like people, it's been crazy. Like people have been donating and donating. Then somebody donated us $100,000, to go towards our school building. Somebody else donated $50,000 to go towards our school. Like all this happened like within a span of 3 months. Like it's been so overwhelming for me. All of the podcasts and people wanting us to come places. We've been on Yahoo. We've been on LA Wire, New York Weekly. I'll be on Forbes in March.
Pretoria Fields, no damn's given.
Yeah.
We got him here.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what's been happening for us, and it's been beautiful. And what's crazy is I had given up on religion, like around maybe about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and everything started spiraling down. I started listening to like all these woke people on social media, talking about Christianity, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's the white man stuff and blah, 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 so I'm just like, oh, this sounds good. Of course, I'm just like, oh, man, but at the same time, my life started going down. I lost my job, marriage was suffering, like everything was going horrible. Like I was doing stuff I never think I'd ever do.
Your grandmother was writing you more letters?
Yep. She was coming by the house and just like, I don't know what you got going on in your life right now.
I think we all have the same grandmother.
Yeah, she'd come by the house. I don't know what you got going on right now, but you need to fix it. I'm talking, everything was just going crazy. And so when I turned 21, I kind of just gave everything back. I was just like, I need to go back to my roots and get back to what I was doing, and everything started going that way as soon as I started. And so now, for the boys, I love to. I like for them to watch me move mountains. That's the biggest thing for me. And Pastor Trent Corey said something of Hope City United when I was at his church. He said, we don't measure mountains, we speak to them. So that's the biggest thing for me, because that's what we do. And I'm going to put that on the shirt too. Thank you, Pastor Corey. We're going to put that on a shirt because that's important to us, because that's what we do. But I think it's really big that everybody believes in big boy faith. You have to understand that you can do things, on your own. You can do things, with God, and just simply believe. Don't measure your mountains, just move it.
So, so we made him drink some beers. So I'll do a little, since we're transitioning.
He's 21.
He is 21.
They make me drink the beer now. No, okay.
We chose to test some of our beers.
I'm not an active drinker, but I'm not opposed to anything. So of course I wanted to try it. I'm at a brewery.
21 legal, and we fed him some of our finest. So our 53 footer.
This is good. What is this?
That was a Southern Harvest Light.
Yeah, that's
good old.
That one's good.
He say like that one.
Yeah.
53 footer.
Little tart. That's tart.
Yeah, it's like you think it says sour.
Barrel aged in wine barrels.
If you like black coffee, this is for you. Yeah. I don't like black coffee.
And that's our style.
And this is the GOAT.
And then Santa's
the greatest of all time.
So that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Santa soda. Santa soda.
Santa soda. And we
Santa
should have
soda.
a video coming out about Santa soda that I can't wait to see.
Oh, I'll share it because I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about your school, and you've got your funding now. When can we expect it open? Where are we with it? Did you actually get the building?
Right. So this is what's been happening with our building. You guys are the first to know. So the building that we were looking at on Dawson Road, we had a deadline that we had to reach by December the 31st. We couldn't get the price down to a point where it was realistic for us to raise that amount of money by December the 10th. We could get it maybe if we had like another month or two or whatever, but not in that time frame. So we started looking at another building that's on Gordon, on 2505 West Gordon Avenue. Mr. Paceberg, he owns the building. So we've been in talks with him right now because how much he was going to give us that building for, we actually have the funding for it. So good. God actually blessed us a little bit more with that building, same size, but actually has 4 acres of land. And the land behind it is 12 acres. We could eventually buy that, one day soon if we wanted to expand. So
maybe even better.
Absolutely. So I just had a ram in the bush for us. So we're looking at that building now. So we're in talks with him, and hopefully we'll be able to close before the end of the year. If not, right at the beginning of January.
Nice. Good for you. And so, I don't know. Talk about your vision for the campus and the building and the boarding school, and just tell us what you're thinking on this whole thing. Give us your vision.
60 kids? Is it going to be more or less? Is that kind of your number? Or?
Well, the first year, of course, we're going to do one grade, just the first year. I'm going to do 8th graders for the first year, simply because I want to get my ducks in a row. I want to make sure, I want to see how it's going to be ran before I take all 3 grades at this school. This will only be middle school campus. Excuse me. We have a high school campus that we're looking at in Buena Vista, Georgia. It's bigger than all the high schools here. It sits on 60 acres, has 2 football fields, 3 baseball fields, 3 tennis courts, all that nonsense. It's huge. Very big school. So we're looking at getting that building after maybe about a year or so. Depending on how we're looking, we want to get that building as a high school campus for our students here in Albany. So they'll be bused there, whenever the school starts. But for the school here in Albany, we want to have it simply for middle schoolers, also teaching every day, classwork, regular, social studies, reading, math, etc. But also we want to incorporate the skilled trades. So we'll have a warehouse building in the back, of course. We want to teach them how to drive forklifts. We want to do welding, plasma cutting, you name it, computer engineering, how to build computers, etc. The boys are actually about to build a computer now.
Hey, you can get this guy.
Yeah, I do like.
He does love that.
Yeah,
I really like taking them apart more than I do putting them back together.
I got
Well, it's a little hard.
Excuse me.
I got 3 computer geeks. I love them to death. They love computers, and so right now somebody's actually sponsoring them $1,000 PC they get to build themselves. So
Did you just
they
call us a geek?
No. He said he's got 3.
I got 3 computer geeks. Yeah,
no, that's fine. Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
Once you spend like 25 years in school continuously,
Oh no, yeah.
It's definitely another level of nerd.
I'll stick with probably getting an honorary doctorate. Yeah, so I'll stick with that. We're gonna get that one day. But yeah, so they're gonna I want them to get into every little area. I want them to do aviation. I want to get them some aviation simulators. I want to let them start learning how to fly planes. And it also gives them hours too with that. And I want them to be able to transition into going to fly real planes one day. But everything within the school, we want to give them the sports entertainment, like wrestling and things like that. They want to have their own news TV show, all that stuff. We want them to get into everything. We want them to produce their own music, make their own shows. We have a shoe coming out, actually, the X for Boys tennis shoe. We actually have that coming out soon.
That is awesome.
They designed it, but I want them to literally have something to do with every aspect of this school. Them designing it. I want them to have so much ownership, over the school that they feel like they can go do whatever they want. Well, I did this, I did that. And even with our summer program, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But even with our summer program, they're going to have all this is experiences that I'm giving them. They say, I learned how to do this. I know how to do this. So when they graduate school, they'll have so many hours of doing so much stuff. They're just going to be like, how are you 17, 18 years old and you got 70 hours of construction labor?
Think about how that looks on a college education or a college application.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to push them forward, get them certified in all these things. I plan on partnering with Albany Tech. Dr. Parker and I are very good friends. So I do want to make sure that we partner with them and just incorporate everybody around our city. People ask to partner all the time. I want to even bring them here. Let them learn how to make some beer. Just stuff like that.
Well, it's such a better way. I may get in trouble for saying this. It's such a better way to train boys or to educate boys, guys, kids. ADHD much higher in male population than is female population. And you think about it, you take little kids, little boys, you put them in a desk, you tell them they got to sit there. They want to go wrestle and play and bite and do all this. And really they want to go be little boys. They want to go, learn what it's like to, how physical can I be with that kid before it hurts, or how, and that's learning. I mean, that is, and the same thing that you're doing and incorporating that into a learning exercise, and then giving them ownership of it. I mean, I've never heard anybody in the last 20 years talk about educating kids that way.
Absolutely. And our children.
that's awesome.
And see, I don't even believe it. I don't believe in ADHD. Never have. Every child that mom's, well, he got ADHD. You make sure you take. I'm like, listen, he's not taking any medicine while he's here. There's nothing wrong with your child. I'm just like, he just needs some attention, and he's just a little fidgety because he want to go play. Right. So I'm just like, we're gonna go let him go play, and he's gonna sit down and listen when it's time to listen. So that's just what's gonna happen. But especially our boys, man. They go through so much at regular school because they're around, they have to act like girls, and they have to be able to sit there, and little girls can sit down. You have some that are rowdy, but little girls, they can sit there and relax. Little boys, they just like, man, I gotta move now. Just like, that's how they are. They gotta do something.
Well, they're testing their world.
Absolutely.
You talk about the guy's heroes call to adventure to go out in the world and do something.
Yep.
It's the Abrahamic story. It's go face something, go out and face some monster. Go fight a dragon.
Right, and they have a big dragon nowadays called social media and these cell phones. And that's another reason I want to separate them. Now, a lot of people don't understand that if you look at different studies, all boys schools have always done better among males than mixed schools. Yeah. That's why I want to get back to them being all boys. For one, they can't concentrate. Being a young boy and going through puberty, etc., they have steady access to porn. They have steady access to these girls on social media, posting their, privates everywhere and all that stuff. They're horny all day.
Yep.
That just is what it is. That's all they think about 24/8 is having sex. Right. They just want to get it wet. So I'm just like, that's what they at. I mean, it's no damn's giving, right?
No.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you're right.
Be real.
Yeah. We've already had 3 beers. You haven't. So
But yeah, that's what they are. And so I'm just like, how you expect these children whose moms are allowing them to wear their cleavage out and wear these clothes that are revealing their areas and stuff in middle and high school and expect these boys to concentrate. Yeah, right, they can't. They can't concentrate at all.
Right. Number one, they're controlled by their physiology, and number two, they're controlled by the algorithm that's messing with their mind on their phones.
Absolutely. And I was just watching Social Dilemma.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That show
that'll make you crazy.
But I wanna watch it with them because I'm just like, this is what they're doing to you every day. They're literally controlling what you like, if you're happy with your spouse, if you're not happy with your spouse, what I want to wear, how I want my haircut, all that stuff based off of what advertisers want.
How do I sell you something else?
That's it.
Yes. How do I buy your time a little bit more?
Exactly. And that's what they're doing all day. And so for me, that just gave me more incentive to ban phones, like especially from middle school. I don't believe any children middle school age at all even need to have phones. I don't even think you need a phone until you turn about 16, 17. That's a smartphone anyway. Now for like my little sister or something, I recommend, getting like, just some little track phone that you can call and text on. That's it. Hey, bye. Hey, mama, bye, mama. That's it. But
I'm safe.
Yeah, no social media whatsoever, nothing. I'm just like, they don't need it. It's horrible for them. And watching, like even my little sister be affected by this stuff and how she wants to dress and how she wants to walk, and they're buying these clothes and stuff just for likes. That's all they do. Like I was telling them on Facebook the other day, I said, I bet you $100 that a lot of your children have gifts under the tree simply because they want somebody to approve of them on social media. They want to go post for likes. They want these shoes so they can post them on Instagram so they can get likes. That's what they get. I'm just like, you don't even care about those shoes. You just want them to get some likes. I'm just like, it's so much more important stuff to life, but we aren't giving them that anymore. Social media is everything now. So
yeah. There's so many new like just the past maybe 5-10 years, and that our kids have gotten to that. Our kids have gotten to that age. Depression because of this. Mental anguish because they're dealing with other things that wasn't even in. It literally is a new problem. Like it's not something that I faced when I was a kid.
It's not even, half of it's not even real. Everybody just posts a side that they want everybody else to see. And
that's a very good point. It's not even real.
Hide all the other stuff. It's like you got so many filters that can make you look like you're, dude, exactly. I could look great on any, but I gotta take the time to figure out how to work
the filter and put the thing in there.
I know, but I would look great on that.
We're too busy actually working.
We should get Austin to get the filter to make us look good on the podcast.
We could do that. That's a really expensive filter, I think.
He said really expensive.
It's like, man, I don't even know how to do that.
Yep, that's where we are.
But just the fact, I don't know. My kids were. So apparently Facebook's the old person.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Facebook is old to young
It's
kids.
old.
Now.
You
It's
know
like
what?
you on Facebook
It's like
still?
TV.
Yeah.
It's like the old TV.
And I'm not exactly sure how the Snapchat whole thing works. I know that it's like, but like, I know that they all follow each other. Like there's a map.
Yeah.
And I'm like
you actually
thinking-
know where they are all the time.
I know. They know where all their friends
where
are.
all their friends are.
I know. When I was a kid,
everybody's over at so and so's house.
Yep.
yeah,
You know,
everything was
I mean,
based on.
and then there's
people
more
not knowing where
anxiety
I
that they
was.
didn't get. They didn't get
wanna
invited
be
to this
found.
party.
This
that-
is dangerous. I'm
Yeah,
telling you
exactly.
that. But they
It's
deal with
crazy.
this all the time. Like it's all of this wanting acceptance, and I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm gonna explain to the boys.
And
like,
you're 21. He's way closer to that age than we are.
you know, just like, why? I said, you guys okay? Like, why are y'all so caught up, on that? But then I look at, what they look up to, like the rappers and all that stuff like that. I mean, I watch them purposely because then I start looking at how the rappers dress or how their hair looks or whatever, and I'm just like, why do you want to dress like that? But then I start watching the videos they're watching. I'm like, oh, you trying to dress like him? I get it. And like, there's this rapper. His name is Pooh Shiesty, and so I at the time, I didn't really care like what music to listen to or whatever because I'm teaching them or whatever. So one of them changed their Instagram name to Too Shiesty something or whatever. And I was like, do you even know what the word shiesty mean? Like, do you know what it means? They was like, no. I'm like, the word shiesty means untrustworthy, not likely to be honest, et cetera, and deceitful, all that. I was like, so that's what the word shiesty means. I'm like, but you want to be like this rapper so bad or whatever. I'm like, you didn't even know what the word mean. I'm like, you got to learn to be yourself, man. I'm just like, for what? Why would you want to be like that? You already know what he talks about, et cetera. You're not like that, right? So why would you want to be shiesty or whatever? So he didn't want to change his name. I said, okay, cool. Well, for all of our events, I don't want anybody shiesty at any of these events. I'm scared of shiesty people. I'm like, so you're gonna be not participating because you want to be shiesty, right? So I was just like, I'm not having no shiesty people at my events.
That's
No.
awesome. So talk to us a little bit about vocabulary and I mean
that's big.
And I mean syntax and
Diction.
using diction and grammatical.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah,
You know I can't do that.
I know. I know, but he's good.
That's
So
my
let's
area.
let him speak.
Yeah, we'll let you.
And we'll just nod our heads a little bit.
So I have a group chat on Instagram. And for most of my boys, I tell their parents when they come to the organization, I do curse at them sometime because they don't understand English a lot. So I have to let them know if you don't want your child to be talked to like a man's going to talk to him sometime, then this is not the organization for your child or whatever. But they don't go tell their moms like, oh, he said he cursed at me. No, they don't do that. But I have a group chat, and one of our rules in the group chat is we go all the way to the top. Is at the top it says there is no BS that's going to go on in here. We're not talking about any stupid stuff or whatever, and you have to use all grammatical. Everything's got to be correct. You have to use correct sentences, punctuation, exclamation points, you name it. So if you look at the group chat, all of them are sitting there correcting each other about what they're saying, but it helps because
What a great way to teach English.
yeah,
exactly.
But it helps, and I tell parents to do the same thing. I'm like, make sure you let your child text you in actual English. Like, don't use any text format. We don't say LOL, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, make sure you're using commas, all of that. I'm like, but I'll be like, commas be killing y'all because y'all do not use commas or whatever. But they're starting to get better at it because they know when they come to our group chat, they have to think about what they say before they say it. And even when they have trouble, they're just like, I don't know how to say this, or I don't know, how to put this sentence correctly. And they just ask, and I'll tell them, or somebody else will tell them, like, that's how you say that sentence correctly. But it's important. And so I give them vocabulary words that they have to use. Like during the week, I'm like, okay, this is your word for the week. You're using it, whatever. But that stuff is important for the children. And even at home, I tell parents, turn on the subtitles on the TV. On Netflix, just turn on the subtitles. It helps them learn how to spell and even going to find words that you don't know. I do that all the time. I'm watching a show or something, and that's a word I don't know, and I seen it on the subtitles. I just go look it up. But it helps you learn with commas, all that stuff. All this is important, because they're not going to...
It's super important. Somewhere along the lines, if you get MD after your name... You don't feel that the rules apply to you for syntax.
It's because your second year of college, you never take another written test.
Let me tell you what.
Everything is like I can take a scan.
He couldn't be on your
the group chat.
I could take a Scantron test in German and make better than 60% of the people on it. That's how good I am at like.
See, I get mad after a while.
Tests.
They know I'll start. Whenever I send a voice text, they know I'm pissed off. I'm like, okay, look, dude. Like, I'm like, I know you saw me. I said don't say that. So so they just got in trouble this last week because we tell them again to stop playing all the time and be serious. So one of them played a prank on the other one with a little girl, and he got mad. And I said, okay, cool. Everybody got to write a 500-word essay. Sorry. So and they're just like, oh man, why we got to write it? I said, well, when you get in trouble, everybody has to get in trouble. So
wow.
Yeah, so that's another thing we do. Awesome. Everybody gets in trouble, and that causes them to police each other. So that way they understand as brothers, we don't allow each other to do stupid stuff. We don't allow each other to have bad grades or anything because Mr. King's gonna get us if one of us comes home with an F, and everybody is gonna have to get in trouble. So you better tell me if you're having trouble in that class, and I can help you. But that's what they do for each other. It's making them be brothers. So they got to write a 500-word essay on a subject of my choosing, and any of the subjects that I choose are not just random little subjects. I choose specific stuff that I want them to know. Like right now, their new essay is on Section 230. This has to do with big tech. So this is explaining to them about social dilemma, and for one, it's informative and opinionative. So they give me information on it, and then they tell me how they feel about whatever the subject is. So these are things that affect our lives and things like that, and I just want them to know, like, well, I'm going to force you to learn it. So how about you go? And I have a copy and paste checker too. So I'm just like, please copy and paste if you want to. I'm going to kill you. So yeah, but that's where we are. But I enjoy teaching them grammar, reading comprehension. Reading is very important. Someone say, well, I can read. I'm like, okay, cool. They get to reading, it's just like, what? And then or even spelling stuff.
No, it's amazing how difficult that, like, just reading and comprehensive to read too. And a lot of them, I mean, it's actually easy.
Kind of for you.
Well, I kind of did it. I did it through mass force.
Yep. I think I'm gonna get his information and put him in our text thread.
Yeah,
and let him.
So then you don't have to correct me.
Yeah,
I'm probably the only one who went through. I went through medical school. Wait, I went through high school, not in college, but I went through high school, medical school, and residency. And I had a teacher give me an English book, sign it, and write in there each time. So they were like, Tripp, you really should read this. And it's like an English grammar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's what it is. So your 1 and 5 year plan, what does that look like to you? What is your life, your leadership look like 1 year and 5 years down the road?
I have this birthday rule. Every birthday, I have to be greater than the year before. That's my birthday rule. So this year, I've done a lot, and I have no clue what I'm going to do at 22 to surpass this year, but we're gonna figure it out.
Sure.
But a year from now, I do plan to have the school up and running really good. Hopefully have purchased our second campus. I don't have a 5-year plan because that's a little too far for me because our plans change constantly based off of what's going on.
Just from listening to you, I figured your 5-year plan was
not to have a 5-year plan.
Not to have a 5-year plan.
I can't have one. I have an idea, like maybe I'll have like 2 or 3 campuses open or something like that, but I don't have like a concrete, this is what we'll be doing in 5 years. I can't do that because I don't know how we're gonna grow within the year or two. I might surpass our 5-year plan. I don't know, but a year plan is always good for me, simply because I can kind of give you an idea of where we're going to be, in a year or two, based off of support, based off of how fast we're growing. Ideas I come up with, and my ideas are usually mind blowing. they just are.
It's hard to be mind blowing year after year.
It is. Yeah,
because for the summertime, I was actually on the plane from Colorado. I took my wife and my son to Colorado. We flew there. Just to relax. And we went to Aspen, Colorado. It was cold. We got to see all the snow and things like that. By the way, Baby King is not impressed by snow. He was just like, no. But anyway, Baby King's not impressed, But so I was on the plane and I was like, something popped in my head. I was like, I have a great idea for next summer. So this summer, what I plan to do, now I've actually been in contact with America's Home Builder, Home Depot, etc. We're going to try to make this happen. What we're going to do is I'm going to have 40 young men, and we're going to have 2 teams of 20. They're going to be there for 6 weeks, and they're going to build 2 small 500-square-foot homes. So this is what we're going to do for the summer. Now, with them building these homes, of course, they'll have to do plumbing and electricity installation. They're going to build it from the ground up. So for one, all 40 children will be able to say, I learned how to build a house. Everybody doesn't get to say that. A lot of people don't get to say that, not even myself, so I'll be learning with them.
Sure.
But of course, we have contractors that'll be teaching and helping them, so every day they'll get instruction, and then they'll get a chance to go work on their house. Now, the kicker for this is going to be interesting because they also have to make sure they're being obedient, they're listening, they're doing what they're told to do, because they'll have certain times of the day they have to get up and go brush their teeth, take a bath, etc., etc. Developing habits over the summer too. But if they don't do these things, they'll lose time on their house for that day. They'll have a set amount of time they have to work on their house every day. But if you act up, or I don't care if it's one person that acts up in your group, you're supposed to be policing each other. So you may lose 2 or 3 hours on your house that day, and the other team might get ahead of you. So
that's
these
kind of like a subcontractor and a union combined. It's like, hey, I'm done for the day. And you know what? The guy that puts the drywall nails in there, he's not here. So we can't go any further.
Yep. So we wanted to make it like that. We want to kind of make it a competition thing, and we're also going to make it a reality show type ordeal too, for people that don't get a chance to just see us in action. Like, they see us, but they don't see us. So I want to get them videos like every week of what happened that week, all the way up until the houses being fully built. We will get them judged by like maybe the mayor, maybe a B-list celebrity or two I know, to try to come and judge the houses for them. We're gonna give them a scholarship at the end, and with these 2 houses, I'm partnering with Veterans Affairs and trying to get these 2 houses donated to some homeless veterans.
That's great.
So I think that's my idea for the summer, and we're gonna make that happen for our children so they can learn how to build a house. 2 homeless veterans get a home, and everybody's happy.
That is. That's right. Your own Habitat for Humanity.
2 things. Hold on. Go ahead. I got 2 comments before I forget them. One's a comment, the other one's a question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. First comment is the fact that I too, King, try to do better each year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I've been sandbagging for like 40 some odd years. so each year I can be a little bit just better. And then that's just a comment. But the second thing is actually a serious question. So as far as, you mentioned Martin Luther King and the fact that had he had a bunch of people
that he was teaching.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as staff is concerned, what steps are you taking? Because 60 kids is a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. I won't have 60 at the school for the first year.
So, but my point is, what are you doing? What types of things are you doing to get staff in place so that, you can't be there all the time, 24/7. You're already doing 24/7. And should more kids come in, there's just, I just think it's really, and let me comment, because we mentioned this during the break. Mm-hmm. You got a really great wife.
Yes, goodness. That's the one.
She is really, really, you need to keep her happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, what are your steps you're taking to put staff in place to have the same type of vision you've got?
Absolutely. Well, of course, that's always hard because a lot of people, I'm 21. So it's not easy trying to find people that do understand, what I'm trying to teach or are willing to implement my vision with me being younger than them.
Sure.
So of course I have my best friend. His name is Anthony Buchanan. He's 21 as well. He and I have always been entrepreneurs ever since we were in high school. We've always had our own little businesses and stuff. So now he runs a towing company. He's 21 as well. He's towing cargo trailers all over the country and stuff like that. So that's kind of what he does. But he was also an officer for APD. But he and I are gonna partner, especially in regards to the summertime. I also have a few other people that are gonna be working with us that I'm vetting out now in regards to helping out our program. I just want to make sure background checks, etc.
Sure,
because I don't allow everyone around my children. I just want to make sure all of my I's are dotted and T's are crossed in regards to having people help out. I do have some former superintendents who are helping work on our curriculum to kind of make it what we want, because obviously it's a completely different style of teaching. However, they still need to learn the basics like STEM, and science, mathematics, etc. They need to learn all of those things. So I'm working with some superintendents on that. But the biggest thing for me is the reason I'm not making the school so big to start out is because I do have students that actually want to become teachers of the children in the program. And I know with that, I won't have an issue or big issues with them because they know exactly how everything goes, exactly what I taught them, and they're going to grow with the program, especially when the program saved them. So that's the biggest thing for me. I have children that want to teach. So I have kids that are turning 18, 19. They'll be old enough to work and be able to teach. So I do have an idea of the model that I'll have when I have different teachers. So of course, the first year I'll have to be an instructor to one of my classes, of course, because I'll have to be training other instructors. So whenever I'm instructing I'll be the chief instructor, you have a senior instructor, and then you have regular instructors. So the regular instructors will all be students under the senior instructor. The senior instructor will be basically teaching them as they're teaching the class of students all year. So of course, you like a paraprofessionals and student teachers. It'll be like a student teacher. So they'll be kind of learning. They'll be teaching the kids too, but they'll be learning how the process goes while in session. So they'll be there the entire year or whatever, and then they'll graduate and get their own class of children and have their own set of instructors. And of course, I'll just be overseeing everything that'll be going on. Me and probably one of my other senior instructors that has a little experience with me. Sure. So as time goes by, I have a model for how this will go when I have other instructors and things like that, because the school will be set up like a competition at all times, because boys love that. Yeah. So classes will be going against each other in regards to reading, welding, painting, etc. And this will be me grading my instructors too. So with me grading the instructors, the classes will be competing. So when I see the children, painting, and they've had 2 weeks of training in painting, and their lines are still not straight, or they still have faded areas, this is me getting on the instructor like, why aren't they? What's going on? Why aren't they where they need to be? So of course that'll be competition for the kids, but it'll be my way of making sure my instructors are teaching the way they need to be teaching too. So this is
I like that competitive aspect.
Yeah, it's really big for the kids. They have to have that. Yeah. So at the end of the year, this will be something they can talk about years from now. I remember our class beat yours, right? Okay, don't forget that or whatever. Y'all class.
We had T-shirts made. Yeah, so we beat you guys.
Yeah, yeah. So
and
that's
you
how it
use
is.
like we're and where incorrectly.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Can we please stop with English?
Sorry.
Please.
Yeah, but that's the model. So I just want to make sure
I'm very good at academic papers.
I know, dude. I understand. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, copy and
You're
paste.
smart as a whip.
Yeah.
I got that part.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the model. So that it's competition aspect is going to be really big, for our kids, because that kind of pushes them to go forward and move more. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to wrap up, but
yeah, because
God's really working miracles through your life. I mean, and
tell you what,
you've chosen to do something that most people, I don't know, they either ignore.
It's easy. It's easy to step back and let somebody else do stuff.
It's easy to,
Absolutely.
or say that that's a really bad problem. Somebody should take care of it.
somebody should do that.
I mean, it's as simple. It's as simple as
I
getting
have
up
that.
and making up your bed every day. Take care of your life, take care of your family life, and then take care of your community. And
Absolutely.
I mean, you've put yourself together in a way in which you're able to do that.
I think as a father, I think any father should be involved in this community. Any father, because your child has to grow up in that community. So I feel like if you are a father and you're not working in your community, then that says a lot to me, because your child has to grow up there. Your child has to go play on the playground. Your child has to go outside and ride a bicycle. So why not try to make sure your community is intact and work with other fathers in the community to make sure your communities are intact? So I think those things are important in regards to fatherhood and community. Absolutely.
And thank you.
Thank you.
for
Thank
coming.
you. God.